Today, we're going to dive into two of the most incredible stories in Mark's Gospel. And they are way more than just miracle stories. They're actually a very carefully built narrative, showing this terrifying escalation of authority that forces everyone involved, and us, to ask one huge question. So, let's just think about this for a second. What's really scarier? A chaotic, deadly force of nature that's about to kill you, or a person who can just look at that chaos and stop it with 2 words? This is the exact spot the disciples suddenly find themselves in. You see, Mark's Gospel isn't just a random collection of cool stories. Not at all. It's a deliberate build-up. Mark is intentionally showing us how Jesus' authority grows and escalates, from things people might have seen before, like powerful teaching, to something completely and utterly new. And this progression is so important. First, Mark shows us that Jesus is a teacher with this unique, captivating authority. Then, he shows us his power over sickness and evil spirits. But the 2 stories we're digging into today, they kick it up to a whole new level. Direct, spoken command over the fundamental forces of chaos itself, both in nature and in the supernatural world. So let's see how this all plays out with that first big demonstration of this power, the famous story of Jesus calming the storm. So picture the scene. It's perfectly set up for drama. After a long day of teaching, they're crossing the Sea of Galilee. Out of nowhere, this violent storm just explodes around them. And look, this isn't just a bit of bad weather. The boat is literally filling with water. And the disciples, these are professional fishermen, guys who grew up on this lake. They are completely panicked. They think they're done for. And through all this chaos, Jesus is asleep. You can just hear the sheer desperation in their voices. They shake him awake, and it's not a polite request. It's an accusation born out of pure terror. "Teacher, don't you even care that we're about to die?" They're not trying to be disrespectful. They're just convinced this is the end. And Jesus' response is just stunning. It's so simple and so powerful. He doesn't start praying. He doesn't grab a bucket to bail water. He just stands up and speaks directly to the storm, as if it were a screaming toddler. "Quiet. Be still." And just like that, the wind dies, and the lake becomes perfectly calm. Now, this comparison shows you just how big a deal this is. This story is meant to remind you of an older one, about the prophet Jonah. He was also asleep in a boat during a storm. But there, the crew begs Jonah to pray to his God to save them. Here, the disciples ask Jesus for help, and Jesus himself is the one who commands the storm. The authority that belonged to God in the Jonah story is now being used by the man right there in the boat. It's a huge shift. And this brings us to the most crucial part of their reaction. The storm is gone, they're safe, but they aren't relieved. No, the text says they were filled with a great fear. Think about that. Their fear of the man who just saved them was greater than their fear of the storm that was about to kill them. The question in their minds changed from, "Are we going to drown?" to "Who on earth is this person in the boat with us?" And believe it or not, the moment they get to the other side of the lake, the escalation just keeps going. The chaos now shifts from the natural world to the supernatural, and it gets intensely personal, and honestly, even more terrifying. Mark gives us this unusually detailed and just horrifying picture of this man. He's a total outcast, living among the tombs. He has this superhuman strength, so much so that chains and shackles are completely useless. The Bible makes the point to say no one was strong enough to subdue him. He is in constant, agonizing torment, a picture of absolute, total hopelessness. So as Jesus confronts whatever is tormenting this man, he asks a really simple question. What is your name? Now, this isn't some kind of magical spell to get power over the demon. It's already on the ground at Jesus' feet. No, this question is for everyone else watching. It's to reveal the mind-boggling scale of this man's suffering. And the answer is just chilling. My name is Legion, for we are many. You have to remember, a Roman legion was thousands of soldiers. This isn't just one spirit. It's an entire occupying army that has taken over this man's life. The name is meant to communicate an overwhelming, crushing number. And right away, we get a staggering visual for what many really means. The demons beg to be sent into a herd of pigs nearby. And how big was the herd? About 2,000. This gives us a shocking, tangible number for the scale of the torment this one single man had been living with. So the moment the spirits enter the pigs, the entire herd just goes wild, stampeding straight off a cliff and into the very same lake that Jesus had just calmed.
This action is a perfect picture of the evil that was inside the man. Chaotic, uncontrollable, and in the end, totally self-destructive.
Okay, so what happens when regular people see this kind of absolute reality-bending power? Well, the aftermath of this event shows us a whole spectrum of human reactions, from total gratitude to absolute terror. Looking at the different responses here is just fascinating. The disciples, after the storm, they react with this awe-filled fear, asking, "Who is this guy?" Then you have the townspeople. They see the man is healed, but they are so freaked out by this display of power and probably the loss of 2,000 pigs that they're afraid and they actually ask Jesus to leave. And then you have the man himself, who just responds with pure gratitude and begs to go with Jesus. I mean, just try to put yourself in the townspeople's shoes. They see this man who they all knew as this uncontrollable, tortured outcast, and he's now totally fine, sitting there, calm, clothed, and completely sane. And their reaction to this unbelievable miracle of restoration is to be afraid. The power was just too much, too unsettling for them to handle. So you see what's happening. Both of these miracles, the storm and the exorcism, they're designed to completely shatter our expectations and force us to ask one single unavoidable question. And in this fascinating twist, Jesus, who usually tells people to keep things quiet, does the exact opposite with this man. He sends him back into his community, essentially making him the first missionary to this non-Jewish region, telling him to tell everybody what just happened. This news was just too big to be contained. So we end up right back where the disciples began, in that boat, terrified and confused. They witnessed an authority that just didn't fit into any box they had, leaving them with the only question that truly mattered. Who is this? And of course, that's the very same question Mark leaves for all of us to answer too.